All right, we've got some fun in store, so let's grab the keys, let's get the Chevy, let's grab the dogs, let's go have some fun, shall we? Let's go.
You want it on the stove? 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 You go with the right?
All right, so here we are. We are at one of my favorite places to chill and relax, and it's a tree in the middle of nowhere, and it's kind of got like a nice shade over top of it. The wind's blowing pretty heavy right now, but it's a beautiful day. The sun's be shining, and kind of leveled out a little area amongst the tall grass so we could sit and chill and relax. I got my bucket. And man, I feel good. I feel good. But today I really wanted to talk to you in regards to watering and mistakes that everyone makes when it comes to watering. I feel like watering is one of those videos that I have an abundance of because although it seems so simple, it can be one of the most difficult aspects of gardening. You know, it has to be right. It can't be too often. It can't be not enough. It has to be perfect. And today we're going to talk about mistakes that everyone makes when it comes to watering your plants. I think the first and really the most important issue that everybody suffers with is watering too often or not enough. Watering has to be done just right. If you saturate the potting mix too much, your roots are gonna rot and they're not gonna be the strongest and the most integral that they need to be able to uptake all the nutrients at any given time. You wanna make sure that you're watering when that pot is at about 50% moisture. It's not gonna be too heavy, it's not gonna be too light, it's gonna be just right. It's that Goldilocks zone. And I kind of feel like that's about the time when the pot is half its weight since you watered it, or from when you watered it. After I water my plants, I kind of lift the pot to kind of get a generic feel of what it's gonna take or what it feels like with a full pot. Then I like to come in a couple days later, feel it again and feel, all right, now we're half full. We need to add some water. Too little of watering at a time is another big issue. You cannot add too much water at one time. It's not the amount of water that you add, it's the frequency that you're watering. That's a big point to keep in mind. You can add 5 gallons of water during a watering, and that won't have an issue. If you give it a good dry period, that 5 gallons, it'll dry up no problem. But if you're only giving an ounce of water to a 5-gallon pot, it's not gonna work. It's not enough water. You have to add enough water that plant's gonna be able to use all the moisture within the pot in an acceptable amount of time. Shout out to my fellow colleagues out there, that high couple. I was watching them grow for the very first time, and I was watching them add a little bit of water at a time. They were adding a couple ounces of water to about a 3 to 5 gallon pot, and I knew that wasn't gonna be enough. And I kind of watched, because you know I'm not gonna be a backseat grower, and unfortunately they learned that wasn't enough water. So it's not how much water, it's how little water you're adding, okay? Keep in mind, it's not the amount of water, it's the frequency of watering that you're doing for your plants. So keep that in mind. Also, what kind of water are you using? Is it a hard water? Is it a soft water? Is it really high in the parts per million? These are things that you're gonna have to determine before you start feeding and watering your plants. If you've got a high parts per million, say 200-300 parts per million, what are those parts? Is it iron? Is it calcium? Is it magnesium? Is it lead? You need to know these things. You got to get a good reading of your water source so that you understand what's in your water. If you start feeding without understanding what's in your water, well, you're going to have maybe some toxicities, some deficiencies, and you won't know what that's related to until you fully understand your water. If it's got 300 parts per million of magnesium or calcium, you're gonna have to take that into consideration when you're adding your doses of nutrients. You might not want to add so much of one element if that element is already present in your water source. Another thing I think people really don't understand is your pH of your water, the potential hydrogen that your water has to uptake nutrients. Your pH has to be between a certain level. If it's not between that level, your plant can't uptake those nutrients. Essentially, you want to have that scale between 5 and 7 pH. And the reason for that is because your nutrients won't be taken up unless you're in that scale of pH. If it's one way or the other, the available nutrients aren't there to be taken up by the plant. Your pH has to be within that range to get the optimal soil uptake. I also believe people are watering at the wrong time of day. I believe that the plants need a good, fresh drink of water first thing in the morning. Give them that vigor and that energy to start their day and to grow big and strong with a drink of water first thing in the day or in the morning. Don't water your plants before the end of the night, because then the water's gonna sit in that pot. There's gonna be no heat, no real temperature to kind of evaporate that moisture, and it's gonna be sitting in a dark, cool pot. And dark, cool temperatures is not ideal and is hospitable for mold. And I think another big issue is not enough airflow in your garden. Let's say you got the right amount of water, your pH is perfect, you added your 3 gallons of water to a 5-gallon pot or what have you. Now, the problem is you don't have enough air circulation. You don't have enough fans blowing air around to help evaporate or absorb some of that water. That airflow is important to ensuring that you're not gonna have any excess moisture leading to mold or bugs. Now you're probably wondering, where'd the tree go, pigeons? Batteries died. Who charges their batteries before they do any recording? Not me. The hell's driving by? Watering is so important. It needs to be done just right, but it's not rocket science. You can do it with a little bit of homework and a whole lot of determination. Anything is possible, guys. That's all the time I have. If you have any questions, any comments, concerns, you guys know what to do with that. Leave it in the comments section below. Did I miss something? What's your biggest mistake when it comes to watering or even gardening in general? I want to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. Have a great day. Peace.